Belarus, a place caught between empires, frozen in time, yet strangely modern. A land of fierce femininity, haunted by the ghost of the Soviet Union. A place where golden domes rise from forests older than most nations, where beauty walks hand in hand with mystery, untouched nature, and strict rules. Do you want to know what life here is really like? Belarus is the kind of place that makes silence feel sacred. Tucked between Poland, Ukraine, and Russia, this is a landlocked nation. Here, forests don't just line the horizon, they consume it. Pine and birch stretch endlessly across the landscape like pages in an old, forgotten novel. Lakes lie still, reflecting a sky that seems older than time. With a population of around 9 million, the country maintains a reasonably comfortable population density. Nearly 40% of the land is covered by forests and lakes. Nearly half the country is green or blue. That kind of space doesn't exist in most of the Western world anymore. In cities like New York or Los Angeles, peace costs money. But in Belarus, it's part of the air. But before you go packing your bags for a cabin in the woods, here's the other side. Peace can blur into isolation, especially if you wander too far from Minsk, the capital. Public buses, rare. Trains, limited. If you don't speak Russian, even asking for directions becomes a quiet struggle. And the further you get from the cities, the slower life, and the internet moves. Are you thinking about visiting or even settling down in this country? If so, comment number 1 and we'll share visa details, costs, and everything you need to know. Belarus was often a battleground in the conflicts between Russia and Poland eventually joining the Soviet Union. This land has been pulled like a rope in someone else's war. For centuries, it sat between hungry empires. Russia to the east, Poland to the west, Austria and Germany lurking. Everyone wanted Belarus for its side. By the First World War, German boots marched across Belarusian soil. But when Germany lost, the chaos inside the collapsing Russian Empire gave Poland a chance to grab Western Belarus. And eventually, what was left became part of the Soviet Union. It means Belarus never fully got to write its own story. Instead, it inherited chapters written in someone else's ink. That's why so many of the buildings feel Soviet. That's why the language is Russian. That's why even freedom feels complicated. In 1991, like many Soviet republics, Belarus simply stepped forward and declared, "We're independent now." But independence didn't come with parades and fireworks. It came quietly, almost awkwardly. Some locals say Belarus never fully left the Soviet mindset. The same man has ruled since 1994. There are statues no one touches, buildings no one questions, routines that feel more ritual than freedom. Many Belarusians don't want the chaos of Western politics. They don't want culture wars or constant change or imported noise. What outsiders might call authoritarianism, some locals call stability. It's hard to argue with that when the streets feel calm and clean. If you listen closely in Belarus, you'll hear Russian in the shops, Belarusian in official documents. It's not just language, it's identity. And in Belarus, identity is layered. Over 80% of the population openly identifies as Orthodox Christian. The number of Catholics is significantly lower. That fact alone already sets Belarus apart from most of Europe, where Catholicism dominates. The gold domes and icons of Orthodox churches remind you that Belarus leans east, not just geographically, but spiritually. Belarus is in Europe, but it doesn't feel European in the way most Americans imagine it. It's not flashy, it's not loud. It feels preserved, intentional, even cautious. The number of Belarusian and Russian speakers in Europe is quite small in comparison to that in Russia itself. Belarus clings to its linguistic and cultural ties to Russia, not because it has to, but because for many here it feels familiar. Safer? Less chaotic than the alternative. Outside of Minsk, signs flip into Cyrillic. Locals may look curious, even kind, but that doesn't mean they'll switch languages for you. And that's part of the beauty and the challenge. Learn a few simple phrases in Russian, not just for practicality, but for connection. A single spasiba, thank you, can melt walls that would otherwise stay cold. It's not just the beauty of the language. Belarus is also known for the stunning beauty of its women. Join us and admire their charm and elegance. But first, take 5 seconds to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our new content. Belarus surprises you with people, and not just in passing conversation, but in the way they carry themselves. There's a certain elegance here that feels effortless. Genetically, Belarusian citizens tend to have a more Slavic appearance. Many are blonde with colored eyes and tall. You'll notice it right away on the trams, at the cafes, walking past you on cobbled sidewalks. Especially the women. Belarusian women are described as exceptionally beautiful, and they take great care of themselves. Beauty is not about makeup or fashion trends, it's composure. It's pride in how they show up, in public, in relationships, in the world. Graceful but not flashy, soft-spoken but confident. They are known for their warm-heartedness towards outsiders. Romance here is slower, deeper, and more traditional. Many women want lasting connection, partnership, family, purpose. And if you're just looking for a foreign fling, they'll see right through it. Eye contact matters here. So does sincerity. Ask thoughtful questions. Don't rush. Belarusian men often migrate to other countries for work, leaving behind a visible imbalance. In Minsk especially, you may notice more women than men in public life, in cafes and workplaces. Some expats describe Belarusian men as more reserved, stoic, even cold at first glance. But that's cultural. Here takes time. Trust is built through consistency, not charisma. Are you intrigued and eager to connect with these beautiful Belarusian women? If so, comment the number 8 and we'll share how you can meet and date them. For a country that feels so guarded, Belarus does something unexpected. You can enter Belarus for up to 30 days without needing a visa, and you can come and go multiple times in a year, as long as your total stay doesn't exceed 90 days. While countries like the United States charge hundreds for paperwork and interviews, Belarus says, "Come see for yourself." No strings attached. Direct flights to Minsk run year-round. And if you enter through Minsk National Airport, you skip some of the red tape entirely. Just don't try crossing overland from Russia without the right clearance. That's a rookie mistake. If you stay in Belarus for more than 5 days, you must register your address. Yes, even if you're renting an Airbnb. If you don't, fines, delays, possible deportation. The system is old school, but the penalties are very current. If you're not from a Schengen country, Belarusian law requires you to obtain health insurance when entering the country for about $34 for 1 month or $185 for a year. Get your insurance before landing and print it. Paper is still king here, especially at border checks. It's easier than most expect, but also stricter than many realize. So you came. You liked it. You're thinking, could I stay? To stay long-term, you will need to obtain a residence permit, which can be acquired through 2 main avenues. The first is love. You can officially marry a Belarusian citizen. Once married, you can rent a house and work in Belarus. Marriage opens the door, but it doesn't unlock everything. Authorities watch closely. Interviews, paperwork, verification. Marrying just for residency? You'll be sniffed out. And there's no leniency for liars. The second path? Employment. You can receive an invitation from a registered business in Belarus that pays taxes. If a Belarusian company hires you and sponsors you, the process becomes smoother. But let's be clear, Belarus isn't hunting for foreign workers. The market is small, salaries are low, and jobs are often reserved for locals unless you bring a very specific skill. Tech and logistics roles exist. Teaching English? Possible, but not as common as in places like Vietnam or Poland. And remote work? That's a gray area. Technically allowed, but there's no digital nomad visa. No clear path. And don't forget the paper trail. Every document needs a stamp. Every step needs an office visit. Every yes takes time, and patience. If you plan to stay longer than a month, connect with a legal consultant or relocation expert who speaks both languages. They'll save you time, money, and major headaches. When the sun sets in Belarus, something unexpected happens. The cold streets warm up, the quiet cafes flicker with neon. Despite a penchant for alcohol and entertainment, Belarus is a place where people generally exhibit self-control. That's the paradox of Belarusian nightlife. You'll find stylish cocktail lounges, underground jazz bars, even Soviet-style nightclubs frozen in time with red velvet booths and disco lights. In Minsk, the vibe is polished. People dress sharp. Music is low and moody early and pulsing by midnight. But don't confuse the party with permissiveness. This is still a country with tight boundaries. And the social rules, they're real. If you want to make friends with Belarusians, knowing Belarusian or Russian will definitely help. Locals don't often warm up to loud foreigners who act like they own the place. But show respect, speak a little of their language, and you'll be amazed how quickly doors open. Still, don't expect small talk. Belarusians are guarded. It's not coldness, it's cultural caution. They've lived through regimes. They've learned to think before they speak. In clubs, let locals lead. Don't approach strangers like you're in Vegas. A compliment is fine. A conversation is better. But coming on strong, that's how you get left alone. And what about safety? Belarus is one of the safest countries in Europe in terms of street crime. You can walk home at 2 a.m. and feel fine. But there's another kind of safety here, social safety. People mind their business. Fights are rare, violence is low, but so is freedom of speech. Belarus can feel like a painting, pristine, composed, peaceful. But look closer and you'll see the brushstrokes were made with rules. Lots of them. Temperatures can drop 4 below zero in Fahrenheit in January. Winters here aren't just cold, they're cruel. The wind cuts through your coat like paper. Heating is centralized, meaning you don't control it. Belarus is the only country in Europe where the enforcement of legal decisions is still legal and enforced. While most of Europe abolished it decades ago, Belarus still carries out it behind closed doors. No appeals, no cameras. Just a silent, final decision. This isn't a place for protest signs or political debates. Free speech exists on paper. In practice, it's muted. Surveillance is real. Civilian police blend into the crowd. Locals will lower their voices when talking about sensitive things. You'll feel it. Dogs are not allowed to be walked in public parks. Cycling, also banned. Drinking or smoking in parks. Fined, littering, you might get deported. And yes, that's serious. Foreigners have been fined for tossing a cigarette or taking a beer into the wrong zone. You're being watched, not always by a uniform, but someone is always watching. Belarus is safe, but it's not soft. It rewards discipline, punishes defiance, and doesn't care much for excuses. That's why the streets are clean. That's why crime is low. But it's also why some visitors feel uneasy, like they're in a dream that could snap awake at any moment. Belarus is one of those places where you can live on very little, but only if you earn from somewhere else. The average salary is $450 to $700, but rents in Minsk now start at $400 per month. For locals, the cost of living has started to squeeze. But for outsiders earning in dollars, it's a bargain. Groceries are cheap. A kilo of potatoes might cost 50 cents. A loaf of fresh bread? Under $1. A metro ride in Minsk? About 20 cents. That's the upside. Wages are low. And that $400 apartment? It used to be $200 until the war in Ukraine began. A wave of Russian migrants pushed prices up overnight. Inflation followed. For Belarusians earning in local rubles, the math stopped making sense. Many apartments in Belarus are in older buildings, typically at least 20 years old and not newly furnished. Think Soviet block housing. Tall, gray, functional. Some charming, others crumbling. Interiors vary wildly. You might get clean hardwood floors or carpets that haven't changed since 1987. Electricity and water average about $50 a month. Not bad. But winter heating bills can spike, and if you're working remotely, expect a spotty Wi-Fi unless you're in a major city. If you're smart with money and earn online, Belarus can be a hidden financial oasis. But if you rely on local work, you'll scrape by. Belarus ranks as the 7th largest producer of potatoes in the world, with over 300 dishes made from this versatile ingredient. Potatoes aren't just food here, they're a symbol of survival. You'll find them grated, fried, boiled, baked, and even stuffed inside pancakes called draniki, the national dish. Golden, crispy, and best eaten with sour cream, they're simple but rich like much of Belarusian life. And then there's dairy. Belarus is the largest producer of dairy products in Europe. Fresh milk, creamy butter, cheeses made the old way, it's everywhere. This isn't factory farmed abundance, it's legacy farming, passed down, not scaled up. That's why Belarusians tend to look healthy. The population has access to a wide variety of natural dairy products, which has contributed to their overall health for over 80 years. This country could survive a global food crisis better than most. Its land is fertile, its farms are local, its people know how to make something out of nothing. Visit a village market, not a grocery store. The stalls are full of homemade preserves, raw milk, cured meats, and hand-labeled cheeses. If you want to taste the real Belarus, that's where it lives. Belarusians value generosity. Even if someone doesn't have much, they share what they do have. In restaurants, at markets, even with guests. Walk through Minsk and you'll notice something. Women are present in almost every field. Many Belarusian men migrate abroad for work. Why? Because local wages are low. Many men leave for better-paying jobs in Russia or Western Europe, sending money back to support families. And while they're gone, the women stay. They run the show. There are approximately 4 million men and over 5 million women in the country. You'll feel it in daily life. More female teachers, female doctors, female leaders. Cafes filled with groups of women. Public life, especially in urban spaces, is visibly more feminine. Belarusian women are educated, poised, resilient. They balance grace with grit, beauty with backbone. And while their appearance often draws attention, they're not just beautiful. They're warm, loyal, and carry themselves with quiet confidence. A Belarusian woman may seem reserved at first, but once trust is earned, she shows up fully. Yet beneath the surface, there's also a kind of loneliness. The gender gap creates challenges in relationships, marriages, even birth rates. The nation knows this and subtly encourages family formation. But that's hard in a culture where so many men have left. We've explored 11 amazing facts about this incredible country. If you enjoyed the video about Belarus, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Your support is the driving force that helps us continuously improve and bring you even more engaging content. Thank you and see you in our next travel documentary. We are so glad you are with us today. Please leave a comment, like the video to support us, and subscribe for more videos. See you soon.